Greetings, R. Frederick Riddle here with another episode of Christian News and Views. And this is, by the way, episode 140, and this is Monday. In today's episode, I am, by necessity, addressing the rules for commenting on any topic that I speak on. Therefore, I'm not covering a news item today. I believe this issue is extremely important. And it does raise issues about myself that I don't know that I've ever given you much a history about myself. So we'll get into that a little bit today. And the reason is this. One of the viewers of this podcast, I don't know if it's a regular viewer or just somebody happened on it, decided the rules didn't apply to him or her. I do not know if it's a he or a she. My rules are simple, and at the end here, I'll actually cover them. But in summary, I expect you to be civil. No attacks, real or suggestive, no cursing, not argumentative or disrespectful. You might think the comment is harmless, and I'm going to give a quote here in a minute, but when taken in context, it was disrespectful, rude, and arrogant. Here's the context. An unknown person commented on one of my episodes and asked a simple question: what is your education? Simple enough. I wasn't offended by that at all. So I responded and gave him a brief, very, very brief, I said him, like I said, I don't know if it's a man or woman I'm talking to. I gave a very brief reply, just covering some basics. This unknown person then replied and says this: perhaps you should keep your opinions to yourself. Now that seems harmless in some ways, but I consider it kind of borderline. It suggests that I don't have the right to have an opinion or to share it with others. It suggests that unless I have multiple degrees behind my name, my opinions don't have value. And if they're going to say that about me, that means they say it about you or anybody else. The commenter did not have the honesty to provide his or her name. Yet he or she felt free to at least imply, I don't have a right to speak. This is cowardice and does not require a reply by me. However, it does cause me to think I should address this issue and explain my credentials. So here goes. Let me take a little sip here. Okay. Probably the most important credential is that I am the founder of this podcast and it exists to give my opinion on whatever subject interests me. And by the way, you are free. Anybody is free to watch, to agree or disagree, all that. But let's get more detailed. So the initial question was, what's your education? Well, on an academic level, it's not much, as far as that person was implying anyhow. I have 1 year of college education that was cut short as I joined the Navy. By the way, I received my draft notice from the Army while in boot camp. So I just beat that out. While in the Navy, I did receive training in communications, and there's different education levels involved there. At one point, I was selected along with other students in that class to participate in a different learning environment. Now, I won't get into time on that, but I felt it was an honor. I treated it as an honor. I felt rather privileged, I guess you might say. While serving in the Navy, I earned a top secret clearance, which means simply that I was able to handle top secret information, usually in the forms of communication, because I was in the communication department. So I was a radioman. And so I would have stuff come across my desk. I did, as I recall, I did have a desk to sit at. And so I would read these things. I would do whatever I was required to do with them, and then move on from that to the next communication. So I was dealing with top secret information quite frequently. At the time, I was involved in, not I was there, but the country was involved in the war, Vietnam War, and that's when I served. And so a lot of the information that came across my desk had to do with military things that were happening on the ground there in Vietnam. Also, I got a lot of the political things that were happening, the behind the news, not from newspapers. This was actually information that I was because it was top secret and I was authorized to read it, I could not repeat it to other people. So I had that kind of education, but it wasn't until after I got out of the Navy. I was there for 4 years. Got out in 1968. And a few years later, in May of 1973, is when I got saved. I asked Jesus into my heart and became a Christian, and my life changed. This book right here, not this particular leather-bound book, but the Bible, the King James Version Bible, became my Bible. In fact, my first Bible was not King James. My first Bible was, I don't remember actually what it was. It was very close to King James, but it was not the King James Version. I later changed to King James because I found that it was the best translation. But in any case, this is what became a very important part of my life. Now I began a really thorough education at this point. The church I was attending to was pastored by Dr. Harry E. Carr, and he is a man a man of God who loved the Lord, loved the Word of God. He taught it, was a professor of it, and he was a. Let me give you here some history on him. He was I already mentioned pastor. He's a professor at Midwestern Baptist College, which at that time was located in Pontiac, Michigan. It's now a little bit out of there. I think it's in Orion, Michigan now. He was my pastor and teacher for 27 years. I was surprised when I looked that up that it was that long, but 27 years. I have been a student of God's Word for the past 52 years. I have learned about doctrines and how a Christian is to walk their faith through additional teachers, such as, and these are not in any kind of these are names that just popped up and I put them down. I didn't care about what order they were in. But these all have contributed in one way or another to my knowledge. And I have books by all these, I believe, not necessarily books by all of them. In some cases, it's notes that I've taken from their sermons and stuff of this nature. But I have, these men of God have been a major influence in my life. Dr. Phil Stringer, W. Philip Keller. He's the author of The Shepherd Looks at the 23rd Psalm, plus some other books. One of my favorite books of all time. Dr. Charles Stanley, Dr. Robert Jeffress, Dr. John R. Rice. I got many of his books. Dr. H.A. Ironsides got many of his books and more. I am an avid reader, which includes research. If you've watched my other podcast, Becoming a Published Author is Fun, you will know that I often refer to research, how important research is in writing. It's also important in anything, including this podcast. I also not only research, but there's the writings of others. And I have my own library here of various books on doctrinal issues and secular issues as far as that goes. As an 82-year young man, I can truthfully say that I have learned lessons both hard and easy through life itself. In short, While I have no degrees attached to my name, I have received college level training both biblically and in life itself. I have something to offer, but at the same time, I recognize that others may disagree with me. That is why I encourage you to comment whether you argue or whether you agree or not. In addition, we live in a country where it is our right and sacred duty to speak up about issues affecting our nation. The commentator is most that started this whole thing here is most probably a young liberal. Young meaning he thinks he knows it all but doesn't, and liberal, they have a whole different set of standards that's not founded in the Bible. They will take things out of context. They even use a different constitution than what we have, the written one that we have. So I don't know this person. Like I said, the person is a coward, has not indicated who he or she is. And he doesn't tolerate opinions. That's another sign of a liberal that doesn't agree with him or her. Now, here's the rub. While they have the right to express their viewpoint, I have the right and power to remove their comments when they violate the rules. And as you're going to find out, my rules aren't hard. I also have the right to remove the author if he or she persists. So what are the rules? Well, here they are. Number 1, keep all comments civil. No innuendo, no cursing, no argumentative spirit, and no arrogant or dismissive comments. Number 2, your name. That's not asking very much. If you're going to comment, give me your name. And I'm not even insisting on your full name. If you don't want to include that entire name, then just your first name and the initial of the last name will do. At least you're giving me some kind of reference that I can use. Number 3, if you wish, your education can be listed, but it cannot and won't be the determination of the accuracy of your comments. Number 4, while you have the right to disagree, you also have the responsibility to provide reasons for your disagreement. You can't just say, you're wrong, and let it stand at that. Give me a reason. Why am I wrong? Put some evidence out there. I'll guarantee you this, you put some evidence out there, I'm going to check it out. So just know that. But that's your responsibility. Yeah, and if you agree, why not do that same thing? You might have some additional information that I might not even be aware of. And so you're actually educating me. Number 5, whatever your education, I expect respect for others. Academic education is only the knowledge of man, which is subject to error. If your disagreement, number 6, if your disagreement is in relation to Bible talk, which takes place every Thursday, then I want chapter and verse, and it must be KJV. Other versions are too prone to error to be acceptable. We can all grow in knowledge through discussion, but in this podcast, the KJV Bible is the final authority. 7 simple rules in a civil society, they should be easy to follow. While I removed the offending remark, I have not banned or removed the offender, though I have the right to do so. One more reason for the existence of this podcast and my hosting of it is that God has called me to this ministry, has enabled me to do so, and continually encourages and guides me. So, what we are talking about here is that we live in a nation where it's free. We're free to express our opinion. You're not free to go into a theater building and shout fire. But at the same time, if you know there is a fire, it's a good idea for you to tell somebody, even in authority, especially somebody who can, get everybody safely out and so forth. There are too many issues going on in this country for us to waste time debating upon somebody's education. Education is only how much man-made knowledge you have. At least the education that the commentator was inferring, true education comes from the Bible right here. This book right here. It comes from the Bible. And if your knowledge disagrees with the Bible, then guess what? Your knowledge that loses value quite a bit. And so I'm going to encourage you to comment, but please follow the rules. There's 7 simple rules. Let me go back over them and real quick here. And so we will just get that done, and then we'll be just about done here. Number 1, keep all comments civil. No innuendo, no cursing, no argumentative spirit, and no arrogant or dismissive comments. That should be easy, especially for Christians. Number 2, your name. If you don't want to include the entire name, then just give me your first name and last initial. Number 3, if you wish, your education can be listed, but it's not required. And just know that just gives us some information about your background. It doesn't prove the accuracy of your comments. Number 4, while you have the right to disagree, you have the responsibility to provide reasons for your disagreement. Same thing with agreeing, I would think. If you do agree, then go ahead and tell me why you agree, especially if it's different. Whatever your education, I expect respect for others. Academic education is only the knowledge of man. Now, you can get academic education on this book right here, too. But you're taking the knowledge of God and trying to understand it. But trying to reduce this to the level of the commentator, he or she was not referring to the Bible. At least didn't mention it. Number 6, if your disagreement is in relation to Bible talk, then I want chapter and verse. I think that's quite fair. It must be KJV. No other version is acceptable. Number 7, we can all grow in knowledge through the discussion. But in this podcast, the KJV Bible is the final authority. That's it, folks. That's the only rules I have. If you can't follow those, you've got a big, major problem there. Now, hopefully you have liked and continue to like this podcast. And if you do, I'm right about there. Yeah, right. Let's see. Right about there is there's the opportunity for you to subscribe to my channel. And so what I want to do is just encourage you to do that. By subscribing, you encourage me. So I then can encourage you to subscribe. And I can also, and I promise to do this, do all in my power to create episodes that will inform, encourage, and inspire you. Now, you might think that this whole thing is brought to you by some church. No, it is not brought to you by a church. Not brought to you by a Christian college or any other kind of college. It's brought to you by TR Independent Books, in particular, Basic Authors Training and Ministry Publishing, 2 services provided by TNR Independent Books. And that's the only advertising that you're going to get. Sometime in the future, I might add a little bit more, but basically that's it. Hopefully you have enjoyed this, and hopefully you'll tune in to the next episode. Meantime, you have a great day, and I'll see you in the near future.